Hard to believe Brian Day's a fan of more CFP expansion.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, Buckeye fans, to your Thursday edition of Locked On Buckeyes, which is your daily Ohio State podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, veteran sports talk host, delivering passionate coverage about your Buckeyes. And during today's show, we will discuss the perfect playoff format, as well as who benefits from more CFP expansion. But first, one thing we know about college football is that the sport has changed a lot over the past 5 years, and that it's going to continue to change, from the transfer portal to NIL to conference expansion and realignment to playoff expansion. There has been a lot of change in a short period of time, and it seems like we're getting closer and closer to more change coming to the playoff format, when it seems like in 2026, we might get a 16-team format. And with all that in mind, it's starting to think about how Ryan Day might view this topic. Ryan Day really hasn't been open about his thoughts about playoff expansion, but he has made comments about how he constructs a roster and what the team can do in August to help them play until January 20th. Also, some of the academic things that impact the players came out after the Buckeyes won the national championship. And all that is to say that I don't think Ryan Day is a fan of playoff expansion. Yeah, the Buckeyes won the national championship in the first year of the 12-team format. So, yes, it did benefit them in a big way. They won the ultimate prize. More playoff expansion? Come on now. Really? Is that what Ryan Day wants? I don't think so. And I think the players might say the same thing. And think about it from the standpoint of January 20th was the day of the national championship. Now, it could be before that in the upcoming years. It could be the 23rd or 24th in the upcoming years. I don't have the dates right in front of me, but all that to say, the NFL Combine's not far away from the end of the season. And let's just say Ohio State stays on the path that they're on, and they continue to make the playoff, they continue to make deep playoff runs, and they keep pushing to be a true contender to win a national championship. Well, for those guys that have plans to declare for the NFL draft, that doesn't give you a lot of time to prepare for the Combine. Well, you say, Jay, this is a pro day. That is true. But the Combine's a bigger day. The Combine is a day where you definitely have all 32 NFL teams right there inside Lucas Oil Stadium, ready to talk to you, to get to know you, to dig deep into who you are as a person and as a player, to figure out if it's worth them diving deeper to potentially draft you, or if they can take you off their board. Well, you can knock out all the interviews, but sometimes, and I believe every time, the coaches and the executives of these teams, they want to see you work out. Some guys get advice to not work out. Well, most guys work out. And let's just say this continues to where the playoffs going to expand, and there may be a scenario where teams 3 through 6 in a conference standing could have a shot to have a play-in style game to get into the playoff. What is it going to do? Provide less time for a guy like Sonny Styles, who is going to the NFL draft at the end of this upcoming season, or a guy like Caleb Downs, who is going to the NFL draft at the end of the upcoming season. I don't think Downs is going to play 4 years of college football. I've never thought that. Even after he played at Alabama, he's a 3-and-out kind of guy. That's less time to prepare. I mean, I kind of compare it to the WNBA and Caitlin Clark when she was playing deep into the NCAA tournament. She turned right around to get drafted, and the next thing you know, it's training camp. She didn't even give her body time to heal and to rest at the end of the college basketball season to get ready for being a pro. I mean, it's difficult. Paige Becker just won the national championship last year. Same type of deal. Now, Caitlin Clark, I don't believe, won the Natty, but Paige Becker's won the national championship and then had to turn that around, not really give her body rest and time to recover from the long, grueling season as for a college basketball athlete to get ready for the WNBA draft and then get ready to play her first game in the W. That's difficult, man. That's very, very difficult. And as people in the Big Ten, people in the SEC are pushing for more expansion, and Notre Dame might be a team that is pushing for more expansion too. I'm going to dive into this a little bit deeper in the very next segment, but I got 4 separate potential formats for a 16-team format. And every format gives Notre Dame an automatic qualifier if they're one of the top 16 teams in the country. Think about in your lifetime, not even over the past 10 years, at the end of the year, most of the time, Notre Dame's a top 16 team in the country. That benefits Notre Dame. Notre Dame may be saying, yeah, cool. If we can definitely get in, it's more money for us. It's better for the brand. It's better for NBC. It's better all around. Yeah, Notre Dame might like it. But some of these formats with automatic qualifiers and the at-large thing, at-large burst, this stuff doesn't make any sense. I guarantee there's a lot of coaches out there that might benefit from playoff expansion while also thinking about how that impacts the players on their teams and think, well, is this what's best for the sport? Because I think Ryan Day right now, he's thinking a lot for the players. Urban Meyer, after Ohio State won the national championship in 2014, Urban Meyer was very vocal about being an advocate for the players and talking about how some of the players, a lot of the players' parents, didn't have the funds to go to the Big Ten championship game and then to go to a playoff game and then to go to the national championship game. They just didn't do it, didn't have the funds. And let's just say you're from Columbus, Ohio. A lot of the players' parents will find a way to go to Lucas Oil Stadium to go to the Big Ten championship game. Cool. That's one game. And then you got to turn around about a month later, and then you got to go down to, I believe it was New Orleans for the Sugar Bowl for a shot to go to the national championship. Yeah, it's not that far. Yeah, a month. It's not a lot of time to try to figure out. You just spend a large chunk of change on tickets and to drive and hotel for the Big Ten championship, and then you got to go down to, New Orleans, flight. You're probably not going to drive, a rental car, your ticket to the game, and then all of a sudden you got to turn around about a week and a half later and go to Dallas for the national championship. That's a lot of money. Well, Ryan, they see that too. Not only is it not a lot of time for you to turn around and to play a game, and not a lot of time to prepare for the NFL Combine, what about the parents of these players? Think about things that aren't all about the dollars and cents. Because if you do that, I think that's Ryan Day in this moment. Ryan Day is advocating for players' accommodations at bowl games and things that the decision makers for the college football playoff can help the players that are there. Well, the playoff is expanding. What's it going to mean for the playoff itself with the committee that runs that part of the season? You got to spend more money. Yeah, you're going to make more money, but you got to spend more money. But is that what's best for the sport? It's simply thinking about the money you're going to make, what's best for the sport. CFP expansion is here. A lot of us don't like it. Not only does Ryan Day not like CFP expansion, let me get this out of the way too. I think it's stupid. I've never been a fan of playoff expansion, and I don't know if there's anything in me that will change my mind. The Buckeyes have benefited in 2014 to 2024. That does not change my mind about, I don't think this is the right thing for the sport. I'd be more down for a 14-team playoff than a 12-team playoff, and I'm never going to be on board with a 16-team format, and I don't think Ryan Day will be either. While Ryan Day might not be, or I don't think Ryan Day would be on board with a 16-team format, playoff expansion, matter if it's a 16-team format or a 20 or 24, not really sure what the number is going to be, but it's going to expand again. And there are certain groups of people that benefit from playoff expansion. I'll tell you who they are next. This episode is brought to you by WayFair. The days are getting longer, the weather's warming up, and people are spending more time outside, which means it's a perfect time to refresh your outdoor space. Whether you're working with a big backyard or a small balcony, WayFair has everything you need to make it feel more like you. WayFair's massive selection of outdoor essentials makes it easy to transform any space into your ideal summer setup. From comfy conversation sets to sleek dining tables and outdoor decor, they've got it all. And at prices that fit your budget. Grab a new patio dining set in some string lights from WayFair to help extend your outdoor space. Whether you're entertaining guests or just relaxing solo, shop WayFair to help you unwind. Shop a huge selection of outdoor furniture online this summer. Get outside of WayFair. Head to wayfair.com right now. That's WayFair.com. WayFair. Every style, every home. Thank y'all for tapping Locked on Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. We're going to have a Mailbag Friday on tomorrow's show, and we're going to need your feedback right now on the Locked on Buckeyes YouTube page under the Community tab. There's a call for your questions. Submit your questions. If you have 5, submit all 5, and we'll answer your questions tomorrow on the Friday edition of Locked on Buckeyes. Speaking of Locked on Buckeyes and other things going on the Locked on Podcast Network, I guarantee if you polled the various college hosts that make up the Locked on College channel here at the network, you might get a very different opinions across the board about who benefits from playoff expansion. Some might say a certain coach. Some might say a certain player. Some might say certain conferences, but you're going to get differences as far as who benefits. And while there are differences about who you think will benefit and who that person thinks will benefit, I think you can look at certain groups of people and conferences that benefit from more playoff expansion. The two obvious ones are the Big Ten and the SEC. Because as I've done some digging, and once again, shout out to Ross Dellinger at Yahoo Sports, who has been doing some phenomenal reporting on the ACC spring meetings and playoff expansion and keeping all of us up to date with what's going on there. Ross Dellinger, in an article he recently wrote, broke down and discussed 4 potential playoff formats when the sport expands the format. And I'm going to go through these very, very quickly. You're going to see a tie-in between the Big Ten and the SEC. In all these formats, the Big Ten and the SEC get automatic qualifiers, and they get the same amount of automatic qualifiers no matter the format. The first one is a 4-4-2-2-1 format where the Big Ten and the SEC both get 4 automatic bids. The Big 12 and the ACC get 2 automatic bids, and Notre Dame gets 1. Another one, 4-4-3-3-1. Another one, 4-4-3-2-1. Another one. This was actually proposed by Big Ten Commissioner Tony Petitti, 3-3-2-2-1. Every format with the 1 is Notre Dame gets an automatic qualifier. If they're a top 16 team in the country, they're automatically in. The 4-4-3-2-1, I could not figure out if the ACC got 3 or the Big 12 got 3. I'm not sure. Whichever one gets it, doesn't really matter. That one's dumb. All these are stupid. Automatic qualifiers are very, very dumb. The only way I get an automatic qualifier, I'll discuss that in the very next segment, because I do believe there's a way to get automatic qualifiers for it to make sense. There's 4 formats that I just went over for potential playoff formats. 3 of them have 4 automatic bids for the Big Ten and the SEC. The other one has 3 automatic qualifiers for the Big Ten and the SEC. It's very obvious, not only in 2026 will these 2 conferences have the power to dictate the format of the playoff, but also they're going to make sure they take care of themselves. That is so dumb. This also goes into another problem with the sport. I'm a big, big college football fan. Have been for years. And one of my biggest complaints with college football is that the conferences run the sport. And I think I'd be on board with it if the conferences were all aligned, almost like an Eastern Conference, Western Conference in the NBA, or NFC, AFC in the NFL, where you got conferences or you got different breakdowns of the sport, but everybody's aligned in one way, where the AFL and the NFL were at one time 2 separate leagues. They merged, made the NFL, but they're all aligned. They don't have an NFC commissioner and an AFC commissioner. No. What do they have? The commissioner of the NFL. Each conference has their own commissioner, which does what? They want to do the best thing for their schools they represent. I'm not mad about that. But when you try to get a format of a playoff that is not just for the Big Ten and the SEC, or not just for the Big 12 and the ACC, but it's for all four of the power conferences plus Notre Dame, and you got to throw the G5 in there as well. You can't have the two biggest conferences control things because they won't care about everybody. They will take care of themselves, and everybody else can come on and just drag along with them. That's so dumb. They benefit in big ways. You know who also benefits? ESPN. Because you know what ESPN's going to get? More money. You know what they should do, which would be a way to get more money. What they won't do? Put these games on ABC. There's absolutely no reason when games are not going to overlap for the games in the playoffs to be on cable only. Yo, that's so stupid. That doesn't make any sense to me at all. I mean, last year they were subleasing games to TNT, and I was secretly hoping that the Rose Bowl would be back on the ABC, but no. It was on the ESPN. The national championship between Notre Dame and Ohio State was on the ESPN in a 12-team format. So not only did ESPN find a way to make money and subleasing games to TNT, they also benefit because these are more games for them to broadcast on their network, ESPN. Disney, I know ESPN is in contract, but Disney owns ESPN, and wouldn't it make more sense for Disney to flex their muscle and say, "Oh, okay, you want to do that? Cool. We got a way to make more money for ourselves. Put that game on ABC. It'd make a whole lot more money. Ratings would be back to where they used to be in the sport, and we would all be very, very happy." The Big Ten, the the Big Ten, the SEC benefit, ESPN benefits. But you know who else benefits? Teams like Ohio State in last season. Because there are always going to be teams that are fringe playoff teams in any given year. I mean, it's no surprise. Ohio State wasn't making a 14 playoff last year. No, not at all. I believe in the final CFP ranking of the season before the playoffs started, the Buckeyes were the number 6 team in the country with a 10-2 record. Didn't even make the conference championship game. Being there was a huge luxury for Ohio State. That's where they are, number 6. And let's just say for some odd reason, they go 9-3, which I think is probably going to happen down the road. I don't know when. Hopefully not in my lifetime. But I think it's almost realistic, and it makes a whole lot of sense that Ohio State will probably have a 9-3 regular season at some point. Well, in that season, if they go 9-3 hypothetically, they're not making a 12-team playoff. No, not going to happen. Is it possible? Yes. But the way people view Ohio State, it ain't going to happen. But in the 16-team format, especially when the Big Ten gets 4 automatic qualifiers, potentially 3 automatic qualifiers, Buckeyes a benefit in a big way. So there are always going to be teams that are fringe playoff teams based off their regular season record, and those are the teams that are going to benefit from playoff expansion. 2014, Ohio State barely got in after smacking Wisconsin 59-0 in the Big Ten championship game. Jumped TCU, and I forget who else they jumped to get into the playoff that year. Okay, playoff expansion benefits certain teams, and sometimes you benefit from it, and you win a national championship. That's the reality. So there are teams like Ohio State that wouldn't make it potentially in a 14, but you make it in a 12. Maybe you wouldn't make it in a 12, but you make it in a 16, and those are the teams that benefits. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on, just discussing about the ways that teams and people and groups that would benefit, but those are just a few. The Big Ten, the SEC, ESPN, Disney, and teams like Ohio State that maybe have a weird year, and based off their weird year, they wouldn't make the playoff if the playoff wasn't expanded. I'm not here to just sit up here and be a homer. I want to be real with you. And absolutely, the Buckeyes benefited last year from CFP expansion, and the result was them boys winning the national championship. All this nonsense about playoff expansion and who benefits and if Ryan Day is a fan of CFP expansion, all that's great. Those are realistic conversations we need to have. We also need to have a conversation about the best college football playoff format. Thank you all for tapping Locked On Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. Many of you are like me and you're trying to follow closely to recruiting in college football of where Ohio State stands, whether they're going up or down. Trust me, over the next few weeks, really next couple of months, we're going to be hitting the recruiting trail very, very hard. Following along with Ryan Day and the other coaches and following along with all the recruiting camps Ohio State's going to host and the official visits to see who the Buckeyes are going hard for and what guys are making verbal commitments to be Buckeyes in the future. It's also the reason to follow and subscribe to Locked On Buckeyes on the YouTube or Apple or Spotify or wherever you get your fine podcasts. One thing I love about this sport is that there is a playoff. While I am not a guy that likes playoff expansion, I think having a playoff is realistic and it needs to happen. But you also got to realize, one, earlier I said I'm a fan of automatic qualifiers, but not the way that they're currently using them. But also, I think there's a perfect format for the playoff. And it's simple. It ain't 16. It ain't 12. I would even go a little bit more than 4. Even though I don't think that was needed when they did it, I don't think you can go higher than 4. Give me 8 teams and give me the top 8 teams in the sport. Those are your automatic qualifiers. That's it. If the top 8 teams are group of 5 schools, those are the schools that are trying to play to win the national championship. If there are 3 Big Ten schools, 2 SEC schools, that's 5. Notre Dame being 6. I don't care where the other teams come from, the fill in the field of 8. That's it. You're going to use the top 8 teams in the sport to get a playoff. That's it. No questions asked. I think in this sport, 12 or 16 is way too many because by the end of the season, there's absolutely no way the 16th best team in the country is going to win the national championship. Also, in no given year do I think the 12th ranked team in the country is going to win the national championship. Also, when they go to this new format, can we not have to? Well, you gotta automatic, you get a bye because you're the conference champion. Y'all, that's so stupid. That's so dumb. I mean, I know it's getting warmer outside. It's supposed to be being a little bit nicer and not being so frustrated, but some of the stuff going on in this sport doesn't make any sense, which is why we're here to kind of not be the commissioner, but just kind of give our own 2 cents about stuff. Give me the top 8 teams. That eliminates, 4 is too exclusive, even though it's not. Or 6 is too exclusive, even though it's not. Give me 8. 8 teams. Let the thing ride. Oh yeah. I get the whole bowl thing and make it neutral site. Scratch that. Every game is on a home campus until the national championship game, which is played in Pasadena every single year. The Rose Bowl is the final destination. That's where everybody's playing. It's playing to eventually have a chance to play for the national championship. 8 teams. Every game is on campus until the Natty, which is played at the Rose Bowl. I don't see a problem with that at all. The Rose Bowl already has the venue large enough, 92,000 plus seat that venue. It has a backdrop that we all like. You can even have that thing there on New Year's Day. I am not a fan, nor am I format when I have a long, drawn-out break between conference championship games being concluded and the first playoff game. That's also very stupid. That's also a way for guys to get hurt. If you want to prevent injuries, don't have a long layoff between conference championship weekend and the first playoff game. That doesn't make any sense. No, that's a recipe for more guys to get hurt. But that's it. I think it's very cut and dry, very simple, and it makes a whole lot of sense. But even in the 18 format, do I really think the 8th best team in the country has a realistic shot to? No, I don't. But you got to make that field. Ohio State would have been there last year, 100%. They'll be the 6th seed. 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7, 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5. I don't see any reason why anybody up there would oppose that. You can still have your tradition, your New Year's Six bowls if you want to have those for the other teams that don't make the playoff. That's great. I understand that bowls are a part of the sport. I love the bowls. I don't like the bowl system. I like bowl games. I think bowl. I don't think a team that's 6-6 should be rewarded to play in a bowl game. No, that's a reward for teams that are above 500. At least in my book, 7-5 or higher. Ain't no 6-6 team or 5-17 who gets an invite because somebody else doesn't go should be allowed to play in a bowl game. You want me to reward you for being below 500 or for being average? Absolutely not. The top 8 teams make the playoffs. Every game is played on campus until the national championship game, which is played in the Rose Bowl. If you want to have a rotation, okay. But if you want to have a rotation, that game is always going to be played on New Year's Day. You can get it from more regions of the country. You go to the Rose Bowl. You can go down to Dallas to play in Jerry's World. You can play at the old Cotton Bowl Stadium. Oh, they don't have suites there. That's not going to work. You can play down at Miami Gardens. You can even play at Lucas Oil Stadium. You can play in Atlanta. You can play in New Orleans. Scratch that. I don't like that stadium. I know I got the list right in front of me. I'm taking some out because it just doesn't make any sense for me why they play in New Orleans. For me as a viewer that's watched a lot of those games on television, I don't like games played down there in the Superdome. I never have. The camera angles aren't the best at all. It's just a weird viewing experience. Take it away. Take it away. Just take it away now and let that thing ride. I don't think coaches would oppose that. I think coaches like Ryan Day enjoy playing playoff games at home. And think about the intensity it would bring if Ohio State was hosting Texas in a national semifinal for a shot to go to Pasadena on New Year's Day to play in the national championship game. Oh, man. The buzz that would be in the air, the amount of fans that would want to go to Ohio Stadium for that game, the fact that Texas is in a warmer part of the country, and you're going up to the Midwest where you literally have no idea it could be snow at the time. It might not be. You got Christmas and all these things that are surrounding that game that are going to make it even more exciting. The only thing I will say is don't compete with the NFL. Don't compete with the NFL. There's no reason why y'all should compete with the NFL. The NFL will tell you the schedule. You change it. Go to a day where the NFL isn't playing. However, the NFL may play games on New Year's Day. I understand why that they made the national championship game on a Monday. I get it if you don't want to compete with the NFL. But January 1st has always been a college football day for decades. And there's no reason why that game shall be played on January 1st. What would that do? Fix the calendar? It would allow the first portal window to actually, once you change that part of the thing, you'd be able to actually have the first portal window happen after the season concluded. Think about that wild idea. National championship game is played on January 1st, and then you get the portal to open on January 15th to February 15th, or the 30 days after that. What do you get there? Oh, you get coaches that had a better opportunity to finish their season, to find guys in the portal while they're not playing ball. It's a crazy idea. It's so crazy. College football isn't going to do it. Thank y'all for tapping Locked On Buckeyes and making this show your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the portal because my guy Brian Smith has the latest rumors, portal entries, and signings. Be the most informed fan on the rapid changes to the college football landscape. Find the portal on the YouTube or wherever you listen to your fine podcasts. You can follow me on any social media platform at jstevens07. Send every email to jstevens317@gmail.com. It's such a Locked On Buckeyes right here on a Thursday. We'll see you next time.